Good morning, students. In the last class, we have done first part of lesson 7 of Beehive packing, and we have seen in that lesson that the three friends George, Harris, and Jerome, they planned for a boat journey and they started doing packing. And Jerome took the whole responsibility of packing on him and how he created mess while packing the things. Now it was George and Harris' turn, and we'll see in this part how they packed the food baskets and how they created a mess. So this is page number 85, paragraph number 9. And then it was George's turn and he trod on the butter. I didn't say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. He said, now it was George's turn to pack the things. He trod on means he stepped on the butter, but Jerome, the author, he didn't say anything. He just sat quietly on the corner of the table. It irritated them more than anything I could have said. I felt that. It made them nervous and excited, and they stepped on things and put things behind them and then couldn't find them when they wanted them. They packed the pies at the bottom and put heavy things on the top and smashed the pies in. Now we have seen the author, he didn't say anything, he just sat quietly at the corner of the table. This irritated George and Harris very much. Now they were very nervous, they were very excited, they just stepped on the things and they put the things behind them, and when they want to pack them, they couldn't find them. Then what they did? They packed pies at the bottom and put heavy things on the top of them, and this smashed the pies because pies, they are very soft, and when they put heavy things on them, they got smashed. They upset salt over everything, and as for the butter, I never saw two men do more than 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. And George, after George had got it off his sleepers, they tried to put it in the kettle. It wouldn't go in, and what was in, it would not come out. They did scrape it out at last and put it down on a chair, and Harris sat on it, and it stuck to him, and they went looking for it all over the room. Now what they did, they overturned salt over everything, and they kept the butter, and they keep on searching for the butter here and there. He says, I have never seen two men roaming here and there for a small amount of butter. And after George had got it off his sleepers, they tried to put it in the kettle. It got stuck to George's sleeper. Then they tried to put it in the kettle, but it would not go in, and what was inside the kettle, it would not come out. Then they did scrape it out. Then they scraped it out at last and put it down on the chair. And by mistake, Harris sat on it, and it stuck to his back, and then they started looking for the butter all over the room. I will take my oath. I put it down on that chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. Now they are very much, you can say, irritated. They couldn't find it, and they said, I am very surprised. I have put down the butter on that chair, and I don't know where it had gone. I saw you do it myself not a minute ago, said Harris. Harris was also equally surprised, and he said, I myself have seen you putting it there, but I don't know where it had gone. Then they started round the room again looking for it, and then they met again in the center and stared at one another. Then both of them started looking around the room for the butter, and they took a round of the whole room, and then they again met in the center. They stared at each other as they could not find it. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. Now both George and Harris, they were very much surprised, and they said it was so mysterious thing, it was such an extraordinary thing that I have just kept butter on the chair, and where it had gone, I don't know. Then George got round at the back of the Harris and saw it. Then George, he went at the back of the Harris, and he saw that the butter is stuck on his back. Why? Here it is all the time, he exclaimed. He said, oh, it is. He indignantly means in a very angry manner. He said, here it is. Where? Cried Harris, spinning round. Now Harris, he started taking rounds, and he said, where? Stand still, can't you? Roared George, flying after him. Now George scolded him, can't you stand still for some time? Stand still. And they got it off and packed it on the teapot. Finally, they got it off from his bag and packed it in the teapot. Montmorency was in it all. Of course, Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. If he cannot squirm in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted, and be a perfect nuisance, and make people mad, and have things thrown at his head, then he feels his day has not been wasted. Now Montmorency, he was a pet dog of Zeron, and he was he was a nuisance. He always creates mess here and there. He was very pampered, and he always comes in between them. And his ambition in life, his main ambition in life was to interrupt into the things and be scolded. And if he cannot squirm means enter. If he cannot enter in anywhere where he particularly is not wanted, and perfect nuisance, and make people mad, have things thrown at his head, then he feels his day has not been wasted. Means he always feels to enter in the things where he is not wanted. And if he has not created a nuisance, if he had not made people mad, if he had not got scolded by them, he feels that his day has not been utilized. To get somebody to stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour is the highest aim and object. When he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. He says he always keep on stumbling over the things, and he always gets scolded for all these things, and this is the main aim and object of his life. And when he got succeeded in this aim, in accomplishing in this aim, he felt very proud of himself. Means he always create problems for them. He always create nuisance for them, and he is creating problems during their packing also. He came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed, and he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold damp nose that they wanted. He put his legs into the jam, and he worried the teaspoons and pretended that lemon was rats, and got into the hamper and killed 3 of them before Harris could land him with his frying pan. Now he entered there, he sat down on the things just when they wanted them to pack, and they couldn't find the things. He labored under the fixed belief whenever George and Harris reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold damp nose that they wanted. When George and Harris, they want to take anything, he just put his damp nose, his wet nose into their hand, and he thinks that they are approaching him. Then what he did, he put his legs into the jam, and he, you can say worried here means disturbed. He disturbed the teaspoons, and he pretended, means he thinks that the lemons that were kept inside the you can say hampers, they were rats, and he wanted to kill them. So he entered his legs into the basket and squeezed all the lemons. and Harris got very much irritated and he hit him with a frying pan. Now Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage him. A dog like that does not want any encouragement. It's the natural original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. Now Harris, he got very much irritated and he said, I had too much pampered the dog. I always encourage him to do such things. But I said, the narrator said that he had never encouraged him because a very naughty dog like Montmorency does not need any encouragement. It is his natural, you can say, original sin that is inborn. It is his inborn quality that makes him do so much of disturbance, that made him cause so much of disturbance. The packing was done at 12:50 and Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. And George said if anything was broken, it was broken, which reflections seemed to comfort him. He also said he was ready for bed and we were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night and we went upstairs. Now their packing was finished at 12:50 and after packing the hampers, all the food baskets, Harris sat on the hamper and then he said, I hope nothing would be found broken. And at this, George carelessly said, if anything was broken, it was broken. Now we don't care about it. And now they all were ready for the bed. They want to sleep. Harris was to sleep with them only at that night because they have to start early in the morning. So all of them, they went upstairs in their room to sleep. Now we tossed for beds and Harris had to sleep with me. He said, do you prefer inside or outside, Zero? Now they tossed for the bed and Harris, he had to sleep with him and he asked him if you want to sleep inside of the bed or on the outside. I said I generally preferred inside a bed. Harris said it was odd. He said I prefer to sit inside, but he says it is not right. George said, what time shall I wake you fellows? Harris said 7. I said no 6 because I wanted to write some letters. Now Harris asked him, George asked him at what time he should wake all of them. Harris said he should wake them at 7 o'clock, but George said that no, it should be at 6 o'clock because he wanted to write some letters. Harris and I had a bit of row means quarrel over it, but at last split the difference and said 6:30. Now Harris wanted to wake at 7 o'clock and George wanted it should be at 6 o'clock. Now they had a quarrel and they reached a conclusion that they should wake up at 6:30. George made no answer and we found on going over he had been asleep for some time, so we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning and went to bed ourselves. Now George made no answer. He didn't reply and he slept over, and after he slept they did a mischief on him and they put a bathing tub at the side so that when he get up he could fall quickly into the bed so that he could take an early bath, and they all went to bed. They all went to sleep so that they can start their journey early in the morning. So this is how the three friends who were planning for a boat trip, how they end up with their packing and how they created mess. So this was all about the lesson, and rest of the things, question answers, etc. we'll do in the assignment. Thank you.